and we're going to walk through a step-by-step blueprint for building a really robust ESP32-S3 weather station, complete with a professional LVGL graphical interface. We're diving straight into exactly how to architecture code and hardware to build a highly responsive IoT device from scratch. We've got a strict 4-week roadmap to get this done right. Week 1 is our hardware foundation. Week 2, we tackle data and networking. Week 3 is all about that LVGL UI integration. And we'll wrap it all up in Week 4 with polish and troubleshooting. Let's get to it.
Week 1, Hardware Foundation. First things first, we have to map out our hardware safety protocols and pick the exact right components so we avoid those fatal beginner conflicts right out of the gate.
Okay, so here's the difference between a buttery smooth interface and a project that just constantly crashes. PSRAM, pseudo-static RAM. As a best practice, if you're running a graphical powerhouse like LVGL, you absolutely must use a board with this external memory. Look for an R2 or R8 designation in your ESP32-S3's ordering code, like the DevKit C1 with an R8. You see, if you want to maximize that full 16 megabytes of flash memory for storing your giant image assets, you need PSRAM to handle the massive frame buffers those graphics require. Without it, you're going to hit a memory pressure wall almost instantly.
Now this is absolutely crucial, so listen up. The ESP32-S3 multiplexes its functions, so you can usually assign almost anything to a GPIO. But you have to avoid pins 26 through 32 entirely. Do not use them. They are hardware bound to your internal SPI flash, and causing a conflict there is a recipe for disaster. Same goes for your strapping pins. If you accidentally pull a strapping pin like GPIO 0 during boot, your board is going to get thrown into bootloader mode instead of running your weather station code. On the flip side, pins 1 through 20, totally safe for your standard analog to digital converters. Just remember, if you're mapping those ADC channels to external environmental sensors, definitely use professional techniques to properly shield those analog signals. Those sensitive pins will pick up random electrical noise like a radio antenna. Moving right along to Week 2, Data and Networking. This is where we establish a rock-solid data architecture to safely hook this hardware up to the internet. Networking can easily ruin your overall system performance if you do it wrong. If you use a standard blocking delay function to connect to Wi-Fi or fetch data, your beautiful touchscreen is going to freeze up and become totally unresponsive for seconds at a time. It's a terrible user experience. But by implementing a non-blocking loop, the ESP32-S3 can keep all your graphical UI animations refreshing perfectly smoothly while simultaneously managing those HTTP GET requests to OpenWeatherMap in the background. Update everything every 5 minutes and it runs flawlessly. Now when that weather API responds, it dumps a massive wall of text on you. The trick here is efficiently parsing that JSON data payload to extract only the specific weather conditions we actually need. By quickly installing the Arduino JSON library via the Arduino IDE library manager, you can easily target just the temperature, humidity, multi-day forecasts, city name, and specific weather codes like sunny or rain. Then you just discard the rest. It saves a ton of your precious microcontroller memory for the UI. Week 3, LVGL UI integration. Your data is secured and flowing, so let's simplify the LVGL library setup and actually bring this graphical interface to life. First up, proper initialization of your display drivers. For students new to embedded graphical interfaces, this is usually the hardest part. You basically have 2 main choices based on your board, TFT_ESPI or LVGFX. If you're rocking a board like the Lily Goatee display, TFT_ESPI is great. But if you're using an ESP32-S3 with a built-in capacitive touchscreen, LVGFX is highly recommended. It'll make your life significantly easier when setting up those drivers.
Let's talk custom weather icons. To significantly reduce your memory footprint, do not try to load raw PNG files dynamically if you don't have to. Instead, follow these exact steps to convert them into memory-efficient C arrays. First, download your 64x64 PNGs. Next, open the online LVGL image converter tool. Set the color format to True Color with Alpha. That's crucial because it preserves your visual transparency and matches your background perfectly. Select C array as your output format, convert, and then just call it in your code sketch. Oh, and a simple checklist tip to verify your image assets load correctly at startup, just watch your serial monitor for any memory allocation errors right after you call the display function.
Putting it all together is where the magic really happens. In your LVGL config file, enable a custom font like Montserrat for beautifully crisp, clean text. Then, tie the logic together. Map those parsed OpenWeatherMap codes to your converted C-array icons. So if the JSON reads a rain code, you program the LVGL library to dynamically shift the background color gradient to a dark stormy blue. Swap in the rain icon, and maybe add a really smooth GUI animation to transition the screen as the user swipes over to a multi-day forecast view. It makes it feel so professional.
Finally, week 4, polish and troubleshooting. We are wrapping up our mentorship by optimizing system interactions and troubleshooting common communication bugs.
Did you know the ESP32-S3 actually features 14 internal capacitive touch GPIOs? It's kind of wild that these pins can literally sense the tiny electrical charge from a human finger. You can use these to easily add touch interaction to switch between different city forecasts, or even better, as low-power wake-up signals from deep sleep. They're also great for running basic touchscreen input debugging to test responsiveness without writing complex UI code first.
If you plan to expand your station with external hardware, like a high-precision humidity sensor, you'll need I2C. For beginners using the DevKit C, your default I2C communication pins are GPIO 8 for SDA and GPIO 9 for SCL. But listen, if you wire up a new device and it's completely unresponsive, always run a basic I2C scanner utility first. 9 times out of 10, that scanner will tell you if you've crashed your SDA and SCL wires by mistake, or if you're just pinging the wrong hardware address. Here is your final week-by-week milestone verification checklist. First, verify your PSRAM ordering code is actually handling the image buffers so your UI assets don't crash. Second, ensure your enable or reset pin is configured for safe external hardware resets. Third, double-check those strapping pins and confirm there's no conflicting external pull happening. And finally, utilize those RTC GPIOs to implement deep sleep battery saving modes. By mapping your wake-up functions to the RTC, your system can basically just sleep deeply to conserve power between those 5-minute weather updates.
And there it is. You now have a complete professional-grade ESP32-S3 GUI foundation. The blueprint is yours. So how are you going to take the concepts from this explainer and expand your weather station's capabilities even further? Are you going to build out expansive multi-day forecast views, integrate complex humidity sensors, add capacitive touch wake-ups? You've got the hardware know-how, you know the code architecture. What will you create next?